Here's what should terrify you. You are paying a tax every single day, and you don't even know it exists. Not income tax, not sales tax, not capital gains. This tax is older than the United States, hidden inside every dollar you earn, and quietly transfers your wealth upward to a group of institutions you never voted for, never met, and never even realized you were funding. And here's the most disturbing truth. This isn't a mistake. This is the system working exactly as designed. Most people think financial collapse comes from mismanagement, bad policy, corruption, incompetence. But the real collapse, the already happening, comes from something far more subtle. A silent, automatic wealth extraction machine built over 3 centuries by 4 men you've probably never heard of. And once you understand how it works, you'll realize why your savings never grow, why your purchasing power keeps shrinking, and why every hour you work is worth less than the hour before. Let me show you the pattern, because this trap began long before you were born, and you're living inside the consequences right now. Collapse isn't random. Spain, Britain, the Soviet Union, they all followed the same script. But beneath the currency failure, the debt spirals, the military overreach, there was always a deeper mechanism draining wealth from citizens long before collapse became visible. And that mechanism was debt, not as a burden, but as a business model. To understand the trap you're in today, you need to understand the 4 architects who built it. Before 1694, kings borrowed money the old-fashioned way, from merchants, nobles, and if they couldn't pay, they defaulted. Inconvenient, embarrassing, but contained. Patterson introduced something radical. A loan the government would never repay, only the interest forever. This single idea transformed debt from a temporary tool into a permanent wealth transfer mechanism. Patterson created the Bank of England. The government got endless money, the lenders got endless interest, and taxpayers paid for all of it. That was the birth of the silent tax. A century later, Rothschild industrialized sovereign debt. He didn't just lend to governments, he created the first international debt market. Government bonds became tradable across Europe. French investors owned British debt. German banks collateralized Austrian bonds. Defaulting no longer hurt one creditor, it threatened the entire network. In other words, default became impossible. Governments now had no choice but to continue paying interest forever. The trap expanded. By 1913, America needed a way to guarantee demand for government debt. Morgan and his associates engineered the Federal Reserve, a central bank that could create money to buy government bonds on demand. Now there was no limit to how much the government could borrow, no limit to how much interest could be extracted from citizens, no limit to how large the silent tax could grow. The trap became infinite. When developing nations couldn't repay their debts in the 1980s, Volcker didn't let them default. He forced them into IMF restructurings. More debt, more interest, more control. This ensured no country could escape the system. And by the early 2000s, the entire world operated inside the same architecture. Here's how the silent wealth transfer extracts your money without your permission. The US owes $38 trillion. The world owes $315 trillion. Triple global GDP. But here's the paradox. If governments paid off their debt, the global money supply would collapse because money is created through borrowing. No borrowing means no new money and a global depression. So the debt must grow forever. Every year, the U.S. pays nearly $1 trillion in interest, not to build roads, not to help citizens, just to service existing debt. And who collects that interest? Investment giants, pension funds, banks, bondholders, central banks, institutions you will never meet, but you fund every single day. Interest is the largest wealth transfer in human history. It moves money upward, from workers to financial institutions. Every paycheck you earn is taxed by a system you cannot see. When governments print money to finance debt, your purchasing power drops. Inflation is not a malfunction. It is the intended result of a system that requires constant debasement to survive. Your dollar buys less. Your savings shrink. Your time becomes less valuable. Inflation is the quiet theft that makes the interest payment possible. You can't opt out. Every dollar you touch is part of the debt matrix. your bank account, your mortgage, your retirement fund, your taxes. The system doesn't just influence your life, it defines the boundaries of it. And here's the truth that should keep you awake tonight. This system isn't failing. It's functioning perfectly. It was built to make debt permanent, make default impossible, make borrowing infinite, make escape unthinkable. Spain learned this the hard way. Britain learned this the hard way. The Soviet Union learned this the hard way. Now the United States is learning it. You feel poor not because you mismanaged your money, but because a 3-century-old machine was engineered to extract wealth from you automatically. And unless you understand how it works, you become exactly what the designers intended, a perpetual payer in a system designed to keep you funding the very institutions draining your wealth. This is not conspiracy. This is not theory. This is documented financial architecture. And you've been living inside it your entire life. You can't dismantle the system, but you can stop being blind to it. Here's practical steps. Stop waiting for the debt to be repaid. It won't be. Favor assets over cash. Cash melts. Assets survive. Reduce personal debt exposure. Hold real purchasing power, not just currency. Understand incentives. The real protection is awareness. Once you see the architecture, you stop being a passive participant in it. And if this opened your eyes to the mechanics designed centuries ago, if you finally understand why wealth keeps flowing upward and why your purchasing power keeps collapsing, subscribe. Because this isn't the only invisible mechanism shaping your financial life. And in the next video, I'll show you the one that triggers stage 6 of the collapse pattern, the moment empires fall.